Welcome back to another video on the Create mod. Today we are going over a farm that creates blaze cakes. This farm produces close to 60 blaze cakes per hour, and that can be increased if you want to increase the farm here, but we'll get into that. The farm only needs 1800 stress units, which is 8 small water wheels, as you can see here, or 4 large water wheels. You could also use a windmill that is a quarter of the size as the max size windmill, or basically any steam engine, because that'll get you up to at least 2000. This farm is fully self-sufficient with an automatic lava generator, automatic nether wart and sugarcane, and a little encasement here where chickens will lay eggs for the egg recipe. This entire farm uses the standard create recipes except for over here with this Netherrack Creation. This requires you to have installed the Create More Recipes mod, which lets you turn andesite and netherwort under a heated blaze burner into netherrack. The other mod that is required, at least for this current configuration, is the Create Liquid Fuels mod, which lets you pump lava directly into a blaze burner. If you do not have that mod installed, you'll need to do some different configurations to pump this into a spout that drops it onto a bucket and then have a mechanical arm feed the blaze burner itself, which isn't too much extra work, but it will increase the size or at least the complexity because you'll have to bring that up here or do something else with it. I will have both of the mods that you need for this farm in the description down below if you need it, but let's get on with the video. As I mentioned before, the farm is restricted just by the speed of these crops growing. So you can increase this and it will increase the speed of your farm, at least by a little bit. Then it will go into the lava and chickens that'll become an issue. But if you have an infinite lava source or you can just breed more chickens, then you will be good to go. This is perfect for an Create Enchantment Industries system. And if you wanted to, you can either chain multiple of these together or just, as I said, expand this farm to create a max size blaze burner with these blaze cakes. The farm has a couple of different components. The first one is this farm, which gets placed on this belt back here, where netherwort is brought over to here to make netherrack, and sugarcane is brought into this milling stone and turned into sugar. The sugar is going to be used under this belt here and turned into blaze cakes, while the netherrack is going to be crushed into cinder flour. The cinder flour is then used to create the blaze cakes. And then the final component are the eggs. Chickens just drop the eggs, they'll go straight down here and get turned into blaze cakes. Once you get the empty blaze cake, you would just have to fill it with lava with this spout, and then it gets stored in this storage system here. You can obviously move this around how you see fit. This is a relatively early game, not too over the top, and perfect for a small single player or small multiplayer world, and it has the ability to expand into a much faster and larger farm. You will need to run this farm at 32 stress units at a minimum, because otherwise this mechanical mixer will not be able to mix anything. And in order to keep up with the current configuration, 32 RPMs is all you need. To set up the farm for the schematic users, you will need to put in lava in all of these places. These all need to be water sources. You'll additionally need to bring some chickens and place them in this hole, which is covered up by default. The hole is going to be right here. You'll see that there are chutes on the right side of the farm where there are the mechanical harvesters. And if you just go up here, break this top block, place a temporary block here, you'll access the chicken chute. You can also tell that it's here because of the trapdoor that is in the lava area. You'll need to bring your own chickens in here and then breed them up as much as you are willing to do, and honestly, as long as there are 25 or so, the eggs will not be the backlog issue. If you wanted to speed up the farm, you might have to breed more in here, and since there are trapdoors in here, they won't entity cram, so no need to worry about that. Once you've done that, make sure to replace in the lava source block. If you've already done that, have a lava source block here for the cobble and stone generation, and then you'll need to fill in this stone brick stair with water as well, for the same purpose. You'll also need to put in the netherwort and sugarcane. The sugarcane with the schematic will place in, but it'll break off immediately because the water under here will not be placed in. So you need to make sure that you place in a row of water here, and this will give all of the sugarcane here and here enough water to continue. If you do expand this farm area, keep it as close to a 4 netherwort to 3 sugarcane system as you can. Right now, I have it at 9 and 11. It would be better if it was 9 and 12, but the randomness that occurs with this is almost negligible. So as long as it's close to a 4/3 ratio, you should be all right. There are circumstances where you get incredibly unlucky or lucky in some circumstances, and this will back up with either sugarcane here or too much netherwort. And if that happens, all you have to do is pick it up and it should fix itself. If you have any issues, definitely leave a comment down in the description. And I also built this in my Survival World episode 40 in the Create mod, if you want to check out how I built it and see if I ran into any issues. I built the farm on a different axis to see if the rotation mattered, and it should not matter. There shouldn't be anything that you need to change if you want to rotate the schematic after you place it in. Placing it this way should be fine as well. To move on now to the block by block tutorial, we are going to start with the farm here. But for the dimensions, this farm is, without the display here, just to get the stress units, 10 blocks deep, 9 blocks wide, and 7 blocks tall. So the first thing to do is mark out that space. And once we've done that, we can get the farm in. The width is 9 blocks long, so we're going to go in 2 blocks from either side. And then on the outmost side, we're going to place in 5 grass blocks here. Behind the grass here, we're going to just place in some blocks to prevent flooding. So we're going to place one on either side here. This is where the water is going to be. And then on the opposite side, we're going to place in 4 grass blocks here with 1 more temporary block at the end. We can then fill in our water, and then we're going to get in our soul sand to grow the nether wart. We're going to place it at the end of the non-grass block, and then we're going to build over the water here and do the same thing on the other side. So you get kind of this N shape around this 4 long grass area. Now it's best to get the sugar cane and nether wart in now, because if you do, it will grow while you're building the rest of the farm, and it'll make the initial harvest a little bit faster and a little bit better, which will speed up the rates just slightly for the first little bit. Moving over to the right side of the farm, we are going to place 3 encased chain drives starting from underneath the soul sand here, so that it goes to the edge of our area. We're then going to go behind this final encased chain drive here, place another one, and then go up 6 blocks total. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to be eventually powering our gantry shaft here, which has the harvester connected to it. But before we do that, we're going to get in the belt that will bring the harvested materials over to the initial processing area. So to do that, we're going to come again back to this other side. We're going to place a vertical gearbox right on this end encased chain drive, and then another one facing the opposite horizontal direction, but still a vertical gearbox. We're going to place a shaft here coming out of this middle encased chain drive, and then a shaft onto this gearbox here, which we will then connect up with another shaft, making a belt, making this 4 blocks long in total. So you should have 1 block where the encased chain drive kind of tower is, and then 3 after that. We're then going to extend this shaft in the middle here by 1, and then we're going to go over 4 blocks total and connect it with a belt. So this end should be 2 blocks away from this gearbox stack that we have, and then we're going to end it off with a depot. This will be putting it into our final blaze cake maker thing that will then go into the spout to turn into a full blaze cake. On the left side of this belt, we're going to place in a hopper and then 3 chutes on top of each other. And then we're going to put in a hopper going into that chute there. We can then place in 2 building blocks here on top of these 2 chutes. And eventually we'll do the same on the other 2 sides, because this is where the chickens are going to go, but we're not going to do that yet. I would, however, recommend putting in the spruce trapdoors now. These obviously can be any trapdoor. They just need to prevent chickens from getting out going this way, so they do have to be a full block. We're then going to extend the shaft by 2 more blocks here, and we're just going to copy this over so that we get a belt that goes all the way along, and then we have 3 of them like this. And on this end one, we're going to place another depot. We can then extend this belt 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 blocks in total, because this end block is going to be our storage system, and then make sure that you place another shaft here so that this shaft connects up with here and there. You should have this little shaft connection in between all 3 of those, and this is where the power is going to get from this belt over to this one, and then same with here. Over on this side again, we're going to grab another hopper and place it facing into this belt here. On top of that hopper, we're placing a millstone. On top of the millstone, another hopper and a composter on top, just to reduce lag a little bit. Going into this hopper now, we're going to place a brass funnel with sugarcane on the front, and then on the end of this belt, we're going to place a smooth stone block. To the side of that, a blaze burner. On top of the blaze burner, a basin, and a hopper going into the basin. We can then place in another brass funnel going into the hopper, setting this filter to nether wart, and then we need to set the basin filter to netherrack. This is obviously going to be where the netherrack is being created, so we'll need to set up an andesite system here, which we're going to do now. Next to the blaze burner, open on the back side, we are going to place down a depot and then an andesite funnel pointing into the basin. Before we place in the andesite belt here, we're going to need to connect up this blaze burner to a lava source. Obviously, we're making the lava source later, but for now we can place in the mechanical pump and get that hooked up. We need to go 2 over with cogwheels and then another one forward, and then we're going to need to place a pipe behind it. This will eventually hook up to the main lava generator back there. We can then place in our 2 shafts, which will connect with a belt, and all of these will eventually be turning this way, going into the andesite funnel here, which will then as well turn this mechanical pump. Now we're going to connect up a few different things. First of all, we're going to need to extend this belt here so that we can get a gearbox, switch it to vertical, and place a cogwheel on top. We're then going to place another cogwheel right next to it, and this will power the millstone. We're then going to grab another cogwheel and place it up against this belt connected to the 3 cogwheel system we placed earlier, which will power then the mechanical pump and this belt. We're then going to connect the part that turns the netherrack into cinderflower. So we're going to place a shaft inside of this belt that is directly in line with the depot here, a shaft connected to it, and then a gearbox. On the right of the gearbox, we're placing another shaft, and then we're going diagonally up 2 blocks onto the top of this cogwheel and placing a shaft there. We can then connect those 2 shafts together so it forms a diagonal belt, and then we're going to place just a temporary block, and then 1 over place a chute so that an andesite funnel on top of the belt can go into the chute here. We're going to place another composter above the chute. Again, this is just for a slight bit of lag reduction. I don't think it's super useful, but the Create Mod farms cause a ton of lag, so I'm trying to reduce that as much as possible. On either side of this belt here, we're going to place 2 gearboxes, which will then go straight into crushing wheels. These crushing wheels obviously will drop down the netherrack, crush it into cinderflower, and then drop it down onto this belt. I'm going to place a chute here just so that the crushing wheels don't continue breaking and creating cinderflower if the belt is full. Facing the crushing wheels from the farm side, we are going to go down from the left crushing wheel and over 1 block on top of the belt where we are going to place our basin. Now we can put in andesite funnels on all 4 sides. Make sure to shift right click so that they are facing towards the basin itself. You're then probably going to want to grab a blaze cake base and place it as the filter to the basin, because obviously we don't want to create anything other than that, so it's just easier to do that there. We're then going to switch gears and go back over to this side here where we are making the netherrack. We're going to want to place a vertical gearbox connected to this gearbox here, kind of close to the basin, and then we're going to place a cogwheel connected to this gearbox. This will power a millstone that'll eventually be over here, another cogwheel above that one, and then another to the side. We can then place in our mechanical mixer connected to this one, and it should be directly over the netherrack basin. So again, it's kind of like an L shape of cogwheels that is connected to that original vertical gearbox. Next, we're going to just have to get in a ton of pipes here. So over on this side, we're going to place in 4 pipes in this zigzag kind of lightning bolt-ish pattern, and then 1 more facing upward so that it is in line with these belts here. We're eventually going to place a basin here, but we're not going to do that yet. First, we're going to place a depot with a hopper going into it so that they are both above those fluid pipes that we just placed. We can then get in the basin. We're just going to place that directly on top of this fluid pipe. And then over on this side, we're placing another andesite funnel that brings items from the depot straight into the basin. On top of the andesite funnel, we're going to place another millstone. And on top of this hopper, we're going to place a millstone there as well. On this millstone, going down into this one, we're going to place an andesite funnel if it'll let me. The arrow should be pointing down towards this millstone. Now I would recommend setting this filter of the basin to andesite because we are going to kind of finish off this system here. We're going to place in another andesite funnel on this millstone again, going into the basin, and then directly on top of the basin, we're going to place a mechanical press and rotate it so that the shaft here is horizontal. We're then going to place the other mechanical press that we need straight above this basin here. Make sure to rotate it so that it is, I guess, front to back in horizontality. Those aren't real words. I'm so sorry. But make sure it's facing this way because we are going to connect it up closer to this millstone here. Now we need to connect up this mechanical press and the final bit of the andesite generator here. This is going to be a little bit complicated, so make sure you're following along. We're going to place it in a vertical gearbox connected to that gearbox. And then we're going to place 2 vertical gearboxes on top of each other. And then we're going to place an encased chain drive on top of the mechanical press that we just connected. And then we're going to place an adjustable chain gear shift on top of that encased chain drive, and those 2 should connect. We're then going to place a lever next to the adjustable chain gear shift, and we're going to turn that on. What this does is it actually halves the speed of the adjustable chain gear shift, and this is used to power the mechanical drill, which is going to be mining the stone in the cobblestone generator, because this is going to be a lot faster than anything else on the farm, and it's better to just half the speed of it, and it actually makes it pretty close to a normal speed. With that then, we're then going to place a hopper directly on top of this millstone, and this block is where the stone is going to be generated. So with that, we can get in our water and lava generation. On top of this mechanical press, I'm going to place a stone brick stair. It can be any stair, it can be a full water source if you'd like. And then on either side of it, we're just placing trapdoors to prevent water from flowing out. These can be full blocks if you would like. I think trapdoors look a little bit better, so that's what I'm going to go with. On either side of the hopper where the stone is going to be eventually, we're going to place 2 blocks just to prevent water from flowing out. And then we're going to place 2 more blocks on top of those so that the lava that we place on this block here won't just pour away. We can then fill up this stone brick stair with water, place a block on top of it, another block on top of the mechanical drill, and then lava in the center here. And you should have a little system that looks like this. We still have not powered this mechanical press, so what we need to do is place another cogwheel next to this one here that's connected to the millstone, the main one that's making the gravel for the andesite crafter, and then we're going to just place a vertical gearbox on top of it that should connect straight to the mechanical press. On the other side here, we're going to place another vertical gearbox, and then a shaft, and then a cogwheel that connects to this millstone to power it. We're then going to place it in our storage, which is just going to be a barrel for now, but you can put this anywhere you'd like. You can increase this belt for as long as you'd like, but we're just going to place a barrel and an andesite funnel at the end of this belt here, just for simplicity and ease. Next to this barrel and andesite funnel, we're going to place a spout directly on top here, and this will fill in the blaze cake base with the lava. We're going to need to connect this to the lava pumps, so we're just going to place 2 more fluid pipes here that connect this to this basin here. We're then going to need to connect this pipe system over to the lava itself. So we're going to place it in 1 more pipe and then a mechanical pump that is directly over this andesite funnel. And in order to power it, we're going to need to place in a couple of gearboxes and cogwheels. First, we're going to place a cogwheel directly next to this mechanical pump here, a vertical gearbox next to it, a vertical gearbox on the ground connected with a shaft, and then we're just going to place in 1 more regular gearbox that connects this belt to this vertical gearbox system and the cogwheel. Now comes the lava generation part. If you want to ignore this part, since you have an infinite lava source, it will be a little bit faster, but otherwise we can just get into it. If you want to skip it, I would just connect up this pump here with this one and then pipe your lava to both of those. Just make sure that lava is getting to the blaze burner, the spout, and this basin here, and then you should be good. If you're following along with the tutorial and just want the automatic, fully standalone farm, then we'll be good to go. We're going to come over to this fluid pipe here, the one that we placed in a while ago, right under the crushing wheels, and we're going to go up 2 blocks here. We're then going to place in a ton of cauldrons here. So starting at this fluid pipe, we're going to place our first one, and then we're going to go 6 over to the side. I guess 6 total, 5 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you should line up directly with this mechanical pump. We're then going to do that 2 more times. So we're going to have a 3x6 area here. That is just cauldrons. Under these first 2 rows, we're just going to place in more fluid pipes. You're just going to place them underneath all of them. That one was an accident. All the way until this mechanical pump. This side is a little bit more difficult, so we're just going to place in fluid pipes going all the way along here. And then we're going to need to make a turn going over, and then we can go down and connect it up with the main system there. On top of these cauldrons, we're going to take a temporary block where our gap is going to be, and then we're going to need a block there. And we're going to fill in the space above all of these cauldrons, so it should also be a 3x6 space, and you should see that we are lining up exactly with these spruce trapdoors. You can now fill in the sides of the spruce trapdoors here, and you should have this little chute where the chickens will be eventually. On the underside of the blocks that we just placed, we're going to place in our 18 dripstone. This is going to be to convert the lava sources into lava in the cauldrons themselves. Now's a really good time to get all of your chickens in here. I'm able to cheat, and I'm just going to place in a bunch of chicken spawn eggs. There isn't a maximum that you can do, technically speaking, because we are using these trapdoors. They won't get entity crammed, but I would just do around 25 or until you get bored. That's probably good enough. And once they start jumping like crazy, I would put a block over their head just to prevent them from escaping ever. We can then also place in blocks all the way around this smooth stone area here because lava is going to be in that section and we don't want it pouring out. And once we have that set up, we can place in lava in all of these areas. We now need to set up the final step of this farm, which is the harvesting mechanism. To set this up, we are going to grab our shafts and place 2 right next to each other on the top part of this encased chain drive, which goes into a gear shift and then a gearbox. This gearbox goes into all of the gantry shafts. So if you just build that across up until the very edge of the farm here, facing downwards from the gantry shaft, we're going to place our gantry carriage. And this is going to connect up to a 2 tall smooth stone pillar here. We're then going to place in our storage unit or interface. This is just going to be a barrel. And then we're going to place a portable storage interface directly next to it. And you might have to rotate it around so it is facing towards this way. After that, we're going to place a portable storage interface directly on top of this belt. And I know it's going to be hard to reach, so try to bear with me. But we're going to place our last brass funnel on the other side of that portable storage interface that we just placed. And it should connect up to the belt so that when the belt starts moving, all the items will come out this way. We're then going to place in a smooth stone block in between the 2 portable storage interfaces, and then we can place in our mechanical harvesters that are just going to go all the way along, and I guess we can't place it on a portable storage interface, so you'll have to replace that, place a temporary block, place in the harvester, and then replace in the portable storage interface. And once we've done that, you should have this L of a system here, and then we're going to need to grab some super glue and connect up these 2 smooth stone blocks, and then this smooth stone block all the way to this one here. Well, interesting enough, we're going to need to remove the portable storage interface, place another temporary block just to glue this together. And then we're going to place and glue in these 4 bottom blocks here. And then we can break and replace the portable storage interface so that it is now facing the correct way towards this one. And it is all glued together if you hover over it with glue. It should also fit in this area here where these 2 mechanical harvesters can harvest up to a 2 high or 3 high sugarcane, and then everything else can harvest either the nether wart when it is fully grown or sugar cane that grows 1 block tall here. Apologies, I did forget to place in a redstone contact straight on top of this barrel. So make sure you do that. You're probably going to have to shift click it and then flip it around with a wrench so that this little contact part is facing directly upward. We're then going to grab some more glue and just glue it to the barrel. It doesn't really matter how you glue this section, how you glue it. We're going to connect this up. It doesn't really matter how you connect it up as long as it is connected and glued, and when it moves back and forth, it stays glued. With that, we can go to the other side of the gantry shaft here, and we're going to place in a temporary block just horizontally to the right, and then another redstone contact facing downward. We can break that temporary block, and this redstone contact should be facing so that when that redstone contact comes all the way over here, these 2 should light up and get powered. Then over on the other side of this contact, we're going to place a block line all the way back to the gear shift here. And we're going to grab redstone and a pulse extender and bring a redstone line all the way back. It doesn't matter where you put the pulse extender, but I placed it 2 away from the redstone contact here. And make sure you set this to 1 minute. It can be longer if you'd like. I think 1 minute is good enough. It doesn't go every single second of every day, and it also doesn't take and wait too long so that you lose out on a ton of rates. And honestly, I think that is the entire farm. And oopsies, I made this 11 blocks deep. But now that that is fixed, we can connect this up to power. As I said, you'll probably want to set this to 32 RPM. Anything above it is fine. You will probably lose quite a bit of cobblestone and cause more lag that way though. So you can connect this, I think any way that I've tried has worked, but I'm just going to connect it up to this gearbox here. And as long as the belts are turning the correct way, so this one you want to turn this way, and all of the underside ones here you want to turn away from us that way, we should be good. You can see here that this is turning the wrong way. So if we just switch this and it starts going the correct way, everything should start happening. There are a couple things that you should see. First and foremost, this gantry carriage contraption should move back, and then once it gets to the end here, immediately move back over and start harvesting whatever things have been growing. They should go into the barrel here, that if we right click, yep, we have netherwort and sugarcane. That should also catch up here. You'll notice potentially that some of the chicken have died here. That is kind of expected just because they sometimes glitch through. I'm not sure why they like dying. And if that happens, just remove the chicken parts from there and we should be all good. I would also double check that this is filled with eggs, and it is. That means that the chicken system is actually working. And then eventually we will verify that the sugarcane and netherwort are going in correctly. After this minute is up, any sugarcane and netherwort that is in the system will move back over. And it actually looks like it has. This is not filled with anything. If we go over here, we should see all of the netherwort that we harvested in this basin. The sugarcane probably already got converted into sugar, and we can confirm that here with us seeing 4 sugar in the basin. It should be a 2 times conversion from sugar to sugarcane. Sugarcane yields 2 sugar per each stalk of sugarcane. So if we harvested 2 sugarcane, we should have 4 sugar, which we do. You will notice that I did mess up here with this vertical gearbox. It wasn't spinning, and that is because it wasn't connected to this gearbox here. All we have to do is right click the top of it with a wrench, and it will connect up, and this mechanical pump will start spinning, getting lava into the spout and into this basin here. It's also probably a good idea to verify that the lava is going into the blaze burner properly. If you don't have the create liquid fuel mod, you probably won't have this happen, and you will need to change some of the design in here so that a mechanical arm can place a bucket of lava into the blaze burner, or you could do a chest of coal or something like that for a little bit of added simplicity. As I mentioned though, we need to bump this up to 32 RPM if we want this mechanical mixer to go at any speed. If we don't go that fast and bring it back down to 12 or something, you can see that the speed requirement is not met. So make sure you're at least at 32 RPM. It can obviously go faster, but then this cobblestone generator here is going to be way too fast. Something we can do to speed up the time is to both increase the RPM so that the cobblestone generator is a little bit faster, just so it catches up. And then for testing purposes, I can increase the random tick speed by 10 times to 30, and then these will grow a little bit faster, and the lava will drip a little bit faster. Both of those are necessary for testing, but will just happen naturally in your world if you just wait and AFK. It does take quite a while to spin up to full speed. This hopper here and this one need to fill up fully before we start making andesite. So your farm will probably fill up quite a bit. Oh, and another thing, I forgot to put another composter above this hopper. Again, it doesn't really do a ton, it just prevents extra items from accidentally falling in here. So do that if you would like, but that's why you have the extra composter in your ingredient list. While this is going, we can check that the andesite is going to start working. Just make sure that both of these funnels are facing outwards. This one has priority, so once this fills up, this funnel will kind of turn off, and this one will take priority, filling up the basin with gravel. Once that happens, we should be getting andesite being crafted, and it will be faster than the netherwort and sugarcane that we are getting in here. So there's no need to worry about that once this speeds up and catches up. If you want to speed it up as well, you can turn off this lever, and that will double the speed of this drill for the time being. You just have to make sure that you turn this back off. Just to speed up the process, I'm going to just toss in a stack of gravel, and you can see that the andesite machine is now working, and we should see that the crushing wheels are crushing the netherrack, which they are, and as you can see, this has already started making blaze cakes. We can see up at the top that the eggs and cinder flour are in here, meaning we are just waiting on sugar, which is coming in as we speak. That is getting filled up, and as you can see, we are getting blaze cakes in here. This is at 10 times speed, so during the same time frame, we would only have 1 blaze cake, give or take. But as I mentioned, we do get about 60 per hour once we catch up to full speed, and this is actually working in time, which it now is. So now the slowest thing, again, is going to be this farm here and the lava. The lava is a little bit faster, and if you wanted to, you could double the production by doubling the amount of crops here, and you will be a-okay. And that is the blaze cake farm. This is super useful for a single player world if you wanted to get hyper experience, like I did on episode 40, and check that out if you want. But it's also useful for a max powered steam engine and a ton of other things that use blaze cakes and superheated blazes. To use the blaze cakes, all you have to do is right click on a blaze and it will turn blue, as you see here. If you wanted to automate it, you could use a mechanical arm to right click it for you, and maybe a deployer? I don't actually know. But that is the farm. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're not subscribed and you like this video, I have a ton of other videos on my channel just like this, a bunch of other tutorials, a bunch of fun let's plays. So subscribe, check them out, like the video, and I will see you all next time. Peace.